It's George Tyndall, and I'm back again. And I'm going to explain something here. I am making these videos to show my findings. Okay? You can believe, you can watch, or you don't have to. No one is forced to do anything. But I'm going to keep doing this because I believe that there are some things that are wrong. And I'm not going to argue anybody with anymore. That's why the last video that I made, I have not commented on. No matter what anybody says. Because people are going to say what they want. They're going to believe what they want. Okay. With that being said, people will understand why I'm not responding. This isn't about arguing. This is about finding the truth and knowing it. Now, people say that meteors are heated by ram air pressure. Okay. After finding several different rocks, I have a different idea. And I'm going to go through this. And if somebody wants to research what I'm saying, they'll see where this goes to and what it points to. And a lot of this has to do with people are not going back and they're not checking other people's works. They're just taking people's words for it. They say this happened this way and nobody questions it. Okay. How I think meteors heat is like this. Meteors heat all the way through. Okay, now, how is that possible? Okay, it is done thermally. Thermal heating is achieved when a meteor travels through the dangerous thermal waves that are filtered out in the mesosphere. Okay, now everybody knows that the mesosphere filters the harmful stuff from the sun. Okay, when it filters that on a continuous basis, because it's always bombarded with sun waves, sun rays, whatever a person wants to call them. Okay, in the mesosphere, when it's separated or whatever, okay, it's still there. And it's a continuous thing that goes on. Okay, now thermal waves, the sunlight is always bombarding the mesosphere with these thermal waves, solar waves, whatever you want to call it. And this is something that probably nobody looked into because everybody just bought the ram pressure thing or whatever idea that they think. Now, if a meteor is heated that way, it travels through the barrier of filtered sun waves or whatever you want to call them. It's sort of like putting a frozen product in a microwave. Okay, now everybody knows that when you put a frozen product in a microwave and you put it on defrost, well, you have to look up the microwave process and understand how the frozen product is heated. And it's not just heated on the outside, it's heated on the inside. This is why I'm saying that meteors heat from the outside and they heat all the way through to the inside. And it's basically done like microwaving something in the oven. Okay. Now, depending upon the size and composition of an asteroid, meteoroid, meteor, and melting point of elements, okay, will determine how much gets through the mesosphere. Okay, now, why do I say about the traveling through the sun waves and the stuff? because it seems to make sense that depending upon the composition and the melting point of some rocks that would come in, what they are made of, as to how they get through without being destroyed, and why the Hope meteorite is so big, 66 tons. 66 tons getting through. Okay. Now we'll go to the rock, okay? This rock. Whatever this stuff is on the outside, it almost looks like plastic glass. It is fused to the rock. Okay? It's fused to the rock on the outside of the rock. Okay? Now, magnetic, we're gonna go to the magnet, okay? Okay, you saw it. Okay? You want to see magnetism. Okay, let's bring the magnetism in. Okay? Now watch. All right, we can't be any clearer on that as far as the magnetism goes. Now, in rocks, magnetism will vary. There should be a scale, but nobody has a scale. Everybody just thinks, hey, everything's magnetic, it's magnetic. Some are going to be weaker than others. But the point I'm trying to get across is a whole rock that's heavy like this, that's magnetic, that's got that fused on the outside. And this I cleaned off. Okay? I cleaned it off and I rewashed it again. So I could see it myself. Okay? But when the rock is heated that way, it's heated by the rays that are filtered out that are sitting there in the mesosphere. And so when it comes through and it comes out, everything's a little bit misleading on how things are heated because of what you see. Okay? What you see and what people say for the first time, and everybody accepts it. Now, I'm trying to figure the ram air pressure thing, and it just doesn't seem to make sense. It seemed to make sense to achieve that kind of heat, to be able to fuse something to the outside of the rock, and the rock can still look like a rock, would be heating a way to heat the outside all the way through to the inside. Now, you can do that electrically with Joel's heating, but I think it's the waves, what you want to call them, sunlight, the waves that are filtered out, the dangerous ones that don't get to us on Earth. Okay, we know how hot the sun is. You know how hot it feels. And the longer you stay out in it, the hotter it gets. It's uncomfortable. You can get burned. Okay, what about the more serious waves that are filtered out? What do they do to the rocks that are traveling through where they're being filtered? Okay, and this is something nobody's probably ever taken into consideration or ever thought about, because you've got the concept that everybody says everything gets burned up or everything gets destroyed. Well, if what I'm finding out is true, that isn't the case. And it's stuff that should be looked at. But like I said, people, oh, no, it's impossible, it's stupid. Well, I'm telling you, it is possible. Research it up, look it up. If you ever wonder where the rays, the harmful ones they say that are being filtered out by the mesosphere, where they're going, okay? Eventually they probably dissipate or whatever, but it's a continuous thing. Because there's always one point of the Earth that is always in sunlight. There's always sunlight hitting the mesosphere. Now, people can call me dumb, stupid, crazy, whatever they want. Okay, that's fine. But finding a rock, especially if it comes from space, it can tell you a lot. Now, with that being said, I'm going to leave it at that. And like I said, I'm not going to respond to people that are making negative comments and argue with them. I'm putting my findings out there. Okay? If I'm wrong down the future, I'm wrong. But 20 years down the line, if it's found out that I'm right, hey, I knew it 20 years earlier. That's just going to make people look really dumb. Okay? And I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to work with people. I'm trying to help people. Okay? They don't want to believe a lot of this. You don't want to believe a lot of that. Well, there's a lot of people don't know. We weren't alive 4.5 billion years ago to know a lot of this stuff. And a lot of people do not look for this stuff because they're taught not to look for this stuff. Now, the next video I will make on the Barringer crater. And I will explain why you only found so little and you can't find the rest of it. I will explain. And then I will make another video after that. And it will be on 5 different airplanes that vanished. And I came to the conclusion of what happened to these airplanes by what happened to these rocks that got through. Okay? It led me from one thing to another, to another, to another. And that's what happens when you find something. When you find something, it gives you information, and it can put you on the path of something else. And there's a good possibility, if I had everything, we'd be able to figure out why Amelia Earhart's plane, MH370, 2 or 3 other aircrafts that disappeared, and maybe possibly Flight 19. Why they all disappeared. They all have one thing in common that nobody knows, that has been overlooked, because people aren't looking for things, they're not researching. And I'm just gonna lay things out. This is what I am finding. And you don't have to agree. You don't. You don't have to believe. Nobody is forcing anybody. I'm not forcing anybody. But it is kind of interesting stuff. And what I'm saying can happen and is there if somebody's smart enough to go pull up all the information and do the research. They'll say that this stuff can happen. And I'm going to leave it at that. But the next 2 videos are going to be very interesting. And they have a total different concept and a way of looking at things, because you find different things. You find things that don't add up to what people are teaching people. And this is the point that I'm just trying to get across to people. But anyways, I'll go on the Barringer crater, the largest crater in the United States, and why they only found a small piece of metal and haven't found anything else. And I will explain that.